Hello, in this example we'll configure a new car model for the IK driver prefab using Fantastic Race Car 13 from the asset store, but you can actually use any vehicle model and it'll work just as well. Let's start by opening the IK driver day demo scene. This scene contains the IK driver demo controller that spawns and holds a reference to the vehicle controller prefabs. Duplicate the IK driver left steering prefab. We'll use this for the tutorial. So let's name it IK driver tutorial, then drag it into the scene and disable the IK driver demo controller. Next, we can bring in the new car model as a child of the IK driver tutorial prefab object that we just created. This is going to replace the current car model named FST Master 2DB. Before we remove this old model, we'll use it as a visual reference to scale our new car model to the proper size. This car model was scaled to match the real world. In this case, I used 1.05 for the scale value, and I adjusted the Y and Z transform positions. We'll also need to assign the new wheel mesh objects to the vehicle controller script in the same order the default vehicle wheels are assigned: front right, front left, rear right, rear left. Once we do this, we can press the Align Wheel Colliders button to reposition the vehicle controller's wheel colliders so that they match the new wheel positions. Once this step's completed, the old vehicle model FST Master 2DB is no longer required. We can delete this and update and apply the changes to the vehicle prefab. We can configure the wheel colliders a little bit more precisely by selecting them and adjusting their radius and transform position Y, and any other collider settings that might suit the need of this vehicle or whatever vehicle you may be working with. We can also click the documentation icon to take us to the Unity documentation website to better explain how the wheel collider properties work, so we can create different types of physics. We'll also need to replace the vehicle collider mesh and make any collider transform adjustments. This vehicle model includes different LOD versions. I'll use the body mesh from LOD2 since it's well optimized. This LOD model is not the same scale as the prefab model. It's far too small. I'll change the FBX's object model scale factor to 1 so that it matches the prefab vehicle model scale factor. Once I do that, I can assign this new mesh a different scale and transform position. The new vehicle model is now just about configured to work with the vehicle controller, but we'll need to make some additional IK driver configurations, including repositioning the avatar, the steering wheel, the vehicle mirrors, the nitro, and this will help bring everything together. Let's start by selecting the 3 IK driver objects: IK driver avatar, IK steering wheel, and IK objects. And we can position these using the scene transform control. And what we're trying to do with this step is basically move the IK driver avatar into position, and we're going to line him up so he's sitting in the driver's seat. We can also press play and view the game mode and press C while we're in there so we can see the driver's helmet camera, and we can get an idea what this is going to feel like in gameplay mode. I'm going to play with this for just a few more seconds, and I'm going to see what I can come up with as far as a good default setting. This is starting to feel about right. I'm just going to fine tune it a little bit more. There we go. I like this. This feels good. You can always spend a little bit more time than I did and fine tune these and adjust the actual individual child objects. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the IK driver position. So this is going to be the race driver object. So we'll notice that if we change his transform position to 0, 0, 0, this is going to be the avatar's position. That he's going to actually use the positions from his script. So this is what controls where he's at, and this is going to come into play a little bit more later. I just wanted to go ahead and point that out. Now we can go ahead and finalize the steering wheel configuration. Let's move the new vehicle steering wheel object to be a child of the IK steering wheel object. Once we make this change, we can also move it and rotate it so it's in a better position, and then we can try to scale it so it matches our steering wheel if we like, or we can also adjust these IK targets that are attached to the steering wheel. If we're just going to use the default two-hand clamp steering style, we can adjust the east and the west targets, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But for right now, let's just go ahead and disable the old steering wheel and move this a little bit closer. And we'll go ahead and press play and see what it looks like. Not bad. Go ahead and save the changes we made to this prefab really quick. Now we can go back into play mode and take a look at what some of these IK targets are able to do. So we'll select IK target east, and we can see as we move this, the avatar's hand moves. And we can also rotate it, and we can see how this affects the rotation of the avatar's wrists. So all of the different IK targets can be repositioned and rotated for different types of vehicles. And this is what really helps bring the avatar to life. The more attention you pay to that, the more realistic your vehicle will look. Okay, next I'm going to select the IK target hand shift object while I'm in play mode. And you'll notice that I opened another inspector and I locked it to the race driver view so I can toggle the shift button. This is going to help me determine a good position for my shift target. What I'm doing now is moving it around my scene and testing the shift animation so I can see what the animation is going to look like when it plays. I'm also going to be repositioning the IK driver avatar. For right now, let me just find a good position for the shift object. I probably need to find a better perspective than this, but I'm just kind of working with what I have. Okay, so now I'm moving that avatar a little bit so we can try to get his hand closer to the shift knob. And it looks like this is a decent position, so let's continue playing with the IK shift target a little bit more. Now this is starting to look a little bit better. Pretty good. Okay, let's go ahead and copy this transform setting, turn off play mode and paste it back. Now we'll go back into play mode and do the same thing for the race driver position. So we'll pull him up a little bit, test the shift, and that looks pretty good. So let's copy this position and paste it. And then let's go ahead and set this in the field that we looked at a little earlier. And this is going to make sure that the avatar sits in this position while he's driving. And the shifting feels pretty good. Again, you can fine tune yours a little bit more if you like. Let's go ahead and save these changes, apply them to the prefab. And next we're going to go ahead and adjust the rear and side view mirror objects to match the positions of the new vehicle model. We can start by moving them all as a group to get them in a general position and individually adjusting them as needed. The shader that's used for the mirrors uses a texture as a mask, so you can go ahead and create that to get a better mirror shape. In this example, we're not going to do that. We're just going to reshape the mirrors. And this is a pretty straightforward process. I'm just selecting the actual objects that say a mirror, and I'm going to rescale them using the scene view scale tool. And if we wanted to, we can actually select the camera objects as well, and we could reposition those, but I feel like those are all in a good default position right now. You can also select the camera objects that are part of this rig and find the reference to the render textures. And if you were using a mobile device, you may want to reduce the quality of these. Let's just scale this one a little bit more, and then we can do a quick play test and see what it feels like. Alright, these feel pretty good to me. Alright, and we're also going to need to move on to the vehicle lights next. So the vehicle lights use standard Unity light components, and they're positioned in world space, so we can select and enable the brake, reverse, and tail lights and move them back as a group on the Z-axis in the scene so that they feel about right. If you want to, you can adjust the individual lights a little bit more accurately as needed. And you're also going to want to do this for the front headlights, which I'm just going to skip for this tutorial. After that, I'm going to adjust the nitro positions, and you can do this as well. that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and turn those back off, apply our changes, and let's play our new vehicle controller and see what it looks like. Right, nitro looks pretty good. Camera effect looks good. Brake lights look good. We got the reverse light that kicks on. Alright, I'd say that this feels pretty good. So yeah, we would just do this process to make more vehicle models. And that's really it. So hope you guys like the tutorial, and give me some feedback and let me know what you think. Thanks.